Hello, everyone, and welcome to a whopping 34th edition of the BDE Sports Talk Podcast.
Whoa.
I'm one of your co-hosts, Bill, and as always, joining me for this crazy ride is the E of the BDE, Eddie. Dean is out on assignment tonight, so it's just the two of us manning the ship. Eddie, you're looking great as always. I say it every week. I think we're 33 in, 34 in. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Wondering what assignment the old D is on right now.
Whatever it is.
Scout.
You know he's on it.
Yeah. What up, dude?
Oh, not much. Not much. Braving the cold. It's been cold here in Michigan for the last couple days. So how was your weekend? How's any random thoughts? That's the thing with not having Dean on here. He's always got something interesting.
He's got something cooking, man. You never know what Dean's got going on, dude. With whatever comes across his phone. Who knows, dude?
I have something to talk about that something he would bring up, I feel like. So
I feel like this too. That's why I was like, I think this might be something Dean's brought up before. I'm not really sure. So well, the weekend was fine in general. Obviously, big sports weekend and whatnot. But I saw this article about some scientists at Northwestern. They had created like these teeny tiny VR headsets to put on laboratory mice. And so the report was that so that the mice could experience the freedom that they would never have. The miniature rodent stereo illumination VR has 2 lenses and 2 screens to give the little dudes a realistic 3D picture of aerial threats, like an owl coming in for a meal.
What?
Yeah, dude. Like that's the only example they gave in the article. I'm like, what? Like, why is that the only thing you're doing is torturing the mice? like you're part of lab experience. They're like, oh, we'll create these miniature virtual reality headsets so you can experience true terror,
Right.
like out in the world. Like, could I just run the maze and eat the cheese, please?
Yeah, like you're gonna put like just cheese in front of them, or
no, like it could have just been walking around a house, finding somebody's food on the ground or whatever. No, it's death. It's the threat of death. I'm like, wow, man. Like that's, can you imagine like just having to legitimately fear for your life 4 or 5 times a week unnecessarily? You don't know what's happening. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'm about to die again, and then you don't.
Because like their little brains can't like.
Well, yeah, they don't know. They're like, oh, here. Well, I mean, at some point, maybe if they do the same one all the time, right? You can be conditioned, but just if it's a different video, I am assuming they do other VRs than just the death threat from an owl. But that's what they brought up. Like, oh, it's just like you're living out in the world. So it's just like you're just scrambling to survive in your virtual reality. Like, at least send a little lady mouse in front of the guy.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, you should see how they react to like Minnie Mouse or That's funny.
Yeah. But I thought that was crazy, man.
Poor things.
What are you gonna do?
So not much else going on this last weekend.
Well, I mean, it was a big sports weekend. I mean, other than that,
right. Well, my weekend, we got that snowstorm on Friday, and we decided to brave the storm and go to the Griffins game because it's only like 10 minutes, from here. So it's just getting on the highway and going, and I have a truck, so I was like, all right, well, we can do it. Maybe there won't be as many people there. I that's what really piqued Kate and mine's interest was, well, what if we're like one of 40? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, we get there and it was $2 dog night, so I ended up eating 6 hot dogs.
Aren't you only allowed to get 2 at a time?
No, because it was that only happens when they start to get low. So,
Okay.
when you first get there,
I get
it's a
there early and
free-for-all.
often. 10 dogs.
How many you guys having?
Oh,
So
I gotta get another 10 for this other group that I'm
he's on his way, it's cool.
he's yeah.
So, they have, like, little condiment stations, right? And
Trojan
yeah,
like that.
condiments,
Oh, mints.
ketchup.
Got it.
Yeah. And, yeah, the Grand Rapids Griffins hockey brought to you by Trojan. It's every time.
You never know, man.
So, no, there are condiment stations, but there are only 2 of them, like 2 or 3 of them in the whole stadium. So, you can understand, like, when it's $2 dog night, people are trying to get ketchup and
Oh,
mustard
it's a
and whatnot.
madhouse. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they're not, like, packets, they're pumps.
Right.
So, these people are it's you just see these people just opening these hot dog wrappers and just squeezing globs of ketchup and globs of mustard because they're trying to hurry because there's a line.
Yeah.
And so I get up there. There's this dude that had like 6 hot dogs. Whatever, a bunch of people had hot dogs. Like I said, I ate 6 over the course of a game. It wasn't 6 before the first period.
I'm gonna house 6 of these bad boys for that first
Well,
buzzer.
they're not even as big as like a Bar S hot dog. They're pretty small. And
Sure.
yeah, small. And and so I thought he was done. Like he went over to those like ketchup and mustard, and he did all his hot dogs. He went to the mustard. So I'm like, all right, well, there's a line behind me. Let me, let me get started. I get up there and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm getting ketchup. And he goes, "I wasn't done with that." I said, "I just watched you put all the ketchup on all your hot dogs." He's like,
It's
"Well, I
ketchup,
wasn't."
mustard, ketchup on top.
Yeah. I was like, "Well," he goes, "I wasn't done." I go, "Okay, here you go." He goes, just go ahead and do it. I'm like, "Okay, then why did you
You
even bring
sick
it up in the
bastard.
first?" Yeah. What are you doing? You're screwing the mind, Just a random. It just goes with the whole like Disney thing I talked about last
Yeah.
week, and just the random situations I guess I put myself in. And then, so like I said, we braved the elements and whatnot, and then they lost 2-0. They never scored, and the game, like, it wasn't 40 people; it was over half full.
Nice.
So, I mean, they had a good turnout for them not to score any goals.
You were talking about your drive there, and my drive home from work on Friday was quite an adventure on its own. I mean, I drive when the conditions are good, it's like a 50-minute drive. And
Right.
so when it's like that, I mean, it took almost 2 hours to get home on Friday, during the crux of the storm. Um,
Correct.
but I was going like 30 to 40 in that range, on the freeway, and a lot of people were just following. um, and of course, there's always a couple who go flying by, or who are giving it a go. One person I saw, they're coming up, and I don't know, probably 5 cars behind me. They weren't close to me at all, so I could tell they weren't like pushing to like go faster. And so one car just peels off because it was pretty slick right where I was going. I was going about 40 at that time.
Mhm.
And a car pulls off into the passing lane. It's another sedan, so I'm like, okay. I mean, and then they start, gassing it up, going past me, they start actually spinning out as they're passing me. Like we're like,
Mhm.
um, they the nose of their car had probably just gotten 2 feet ahead of me. So like my head was about where the back seat window was,
Mhm.
and then they start going. So I'm like, oh no, because I mean, I don't,
Right.
I've never had that happen where somebody started spinning out right next to me before.
Right.
And so I kind of start pumping just lightly on the brakes because I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here because I don't want to speed up because then I'm gonna start fishtailing. And so fortunately they just kind of went off into the ditch right into the middle of the freeway, and I just went on. I'm like, well, that's a good reminder because like how people are out there, man. People are
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I refuse to be made to go faster.
Right.
I
Right.
have moments where maybe I'll kick it up like 5 miles per hour.
Mhm.
I'll be like, oh, I'll test it. I'll test it. Just see what's going on here. But not that was not the way to go. But
No.
yeah, I thought that was a rough night to be out driving.
It wasn't too bad. On uh the way there, the highway gets kind of curvy when you get into the city.
Yeah.
But and that was really the only time that I was like, this is kind of sketchy. But on the way home, I took a different way and I was doing 45.
What, like around
So
the S curve or whatever?
yeah, but on 196, when you from where I live to when you get to the city, it kind of like does one of
Oh,
these and then back, kind of like an S curve, like a mini S curve.
gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it was still a fun night, and I don't we Kate and I said we wouldn't do it again because like the vibe wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There was not really any excitement. Whereas like when it's pretty much full, you can kind of get into the game and whatnot. So, and then one thought I had actually on the way home that night was because I brought up sledding to Charlie because I think she's been sledding one time.
Oh yeah,
We're
yeah,
just
yeah.
we're just not a winter family, And I thought about this and I started laughing to myself because I said I would go sledding all the time if there was a way for me not to climb back up the hill.
Oof, rough.
Right?
I forgot. Yeah, we went sledding. We went to the Arboretum over in Battle Creek.
Oh gosh. Oh man.
I mean, I think I went down the hill once, and then it took it was a steep one. Took me a bit to get back up the hill, and I'm like, I'm not sure I got the rest of them today, guys. you know, all the kids are a bit older now, where it doesn't matter as much.
Right.
But
Right.
I was like, jeepers, creepers, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Some old bones. Some old
It's
bones.
not good.
There's
It's not
there's
good.
a have you taken the kids to Angola for like the
No,
tobogganing thing? No,
no, I should.
thought about taking Charlie there because I don't know if you get brought back up or it's not like a huge like climb.
Oh, dude, we went. This would have been years ago, a couple years ago. We went to this hill, and I think I told you about it at the time. Uh, it was in Indiana, maybe Ohio, but it was like glow in the dark tubing
Mhm. Oh,
down a,
sweet.
yeah. I mean, it's really not glow in the dark. It was just like lights hung over the hill,
Right.
but they called it glow in the dark. I mean, it was still sweet, and it was just a big conveyor belt that brought you back up to the top. And I'm
That's my
like,
type.
that's where it's at.
Yeah.
And that was a really good time.
Oh, I bet because you're
Yeah.
not having to stop after
Not
one.
exhausted after one trip. But that'd be a
You
fun thing to
know?
go do sometime. It was worth I think we stayed the night when we did it. But that was super cool. You had to reserve your tickets in advance. That might have been during COVID too. I'm not sure.
Mm.
But,
Yeah. I thought about the whole tobogganing thing because Charlie loves roller coasters. She's a thrill ride junkie. Really, she hates it when I say junkie. Every
Charlie
time.
does?
Yeah, she's like, I'm not a junkie. I just love roller coasters. I'm like, oh, well, there you go. Hey, one thing
What
I
does she
wanted to,
picture a junkie is?
I don't know. She sounded
It
like she
doesn't
was
sound
like,
good, right? So
yeah, like, she had a negative connection
she's like,
to
I'm
it.
not a junkie. You're a junkie.
Now get me on a roller coaster. One thing I wanted to ask you before we get into the Lions.
Sports.
Yeah, sports. Have you seen anything on those Miami Aliens at all?
Is that an expansion team?
That'd be a pretty sweet team.
The Miami Aliens.
You'd have some sweet colors that go with it. They were like shadow aliens.
No, I haven't heard. I haven't heard.
Oh, you
about
haven't? You should
No.
look into it, and we'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
Because it's weird. It's a weird situation, and just for a little context, when the only footage they really show, like you'll have to kind of do a deep dive on it, but
Okay.
I sound crazy. No, it was a big thing though. There's like tons of police cars, and then they said it was like 3 teenagers, but there had to have been like 30 police cars at least, and like they had a police helicopter doing a spotlight looking all around the building and everything, and people are like, that's for 3 teenagers, you brought that much of a presence out there. So yeah,
talking about aliens from outer space,
shadow aliens or something like that. Yeah,
shadow aliens.
Look into it, and then we'll talk about it next week. I'll put a reminder to talk about that.
All right.
So, all right.
That'll be something, man. I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
BDE conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
You
get Jesse Ventura on here.
You bring them, we debunk them. So let's get into it. Mondays never felt so good. I said that to somebody. That's probably one of the best moods I've been in a while. Lions win 24-23, beat Stafford and the Rams at Ford Field. They move on to play Tampa Bay this Sunday at 3:00. Thank God. I'm not a big fan. I love the night game, but I don't love the night game.
I love the night game.
I just third quarter, I'm just like, oof, I need to get up and do something.
I think I was gassed because like as soon as like the post game stuff was over, I passed out on the couch. Like I know I saw probably all of it, and I was out. I just had run out of steam.
So real quick, we'll go over some stats, and then we'll get some thoughts. Stafford was 25 of 36 for 367 and 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams had 13 carries for 61 yards. Puka Nacua, 9 receptions, 181 yards, 1 touchdown. For Detroit, Jared Goff, 22 of 27, 277 and a touchdown. David Montgomery, 14 carries, 57 yards and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8 carries, 24 yards and a touchdown. Amon-Ra with another great game, 7 catches, 110 yards. And Josh Reynolds had himself a game as well, 5 carries, 80 yards. Thoughts?
Shoot. Carried it after he caught it, even.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, thoughts. I mean, it was an awesome, as I said multiple times leading up to the game, cathartic win. Truly, felt like we exercised a demon there, for sure. I mean, not just with the home playoff game, but obviously with Stafford and everything else. Man, it was awesome. I think when you see that clip of that guy or those guys, tearing up there in the stands, it's incredibly relatable. You know, it was a big moment for Lions fans who've been really been with this team for a long time. So it was pretty special. I was super happy for Josh Reynolds too. I think he kind of got glazed over in the whole thing. That he had a huge first half. I also thought there was some nice vindication for like the coaches and Michael Badgley when he hit that 54-yarder clutch.
Yeah.
Clutch 54-yard field goal. Not one that he hits on a regular basis, really. And he just drilled it. And I think that really provides it because we've had all that kicker situation, you know, getting Patterson gone, then trading for him back or whatever. And Badgley's kind of been in the mix that whole time. And then they said, you know, and then we were like, oh, what happened to Patterson? And then Badgley, they said Badgley just kind of outplayed him in practice through the year. And it just kind of it happened. And they were vindicated by that. And I felt good for the coaches and him. That was a lot to say for one field goal, that the only field goal he had to make, but it was a big one.
Yeah.
Obviously super happy for Goff. Big for him, man. I mean, the revenge on him. A lot of it was we you know, all of us around here know. I mean, a lot of the talk was about Stafford coming back, but a lot of people around here would be like, well, what about Goff getting that back on the Rams? And he played a really good game, played himself again into a nice contract. You know, hopefully it's not egregious. He's gonna get it now. So whatever people think, he's gonna get it. I mean, he's the only one that's done it since Dave Craig in '92. And it was really Barry at that time. But Goff is a big part of this win. He's been a big part of the turnaround, and so he's played himself into that contract.
He's good enough for Detroit.
Good enough for effing Detroit, bro. And you really are, brother. He'll never see this, but you really are, man. And we love you. We appreciate you. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, what are you going to do? He did it. Right. He did it. The team did it. It was pretty awesome. I mean, I was texting you guys during the game. I mean, I was an absolute psychopath. At my house, I made sure that I had nobody around. You know, I had my Lions shirt on. I was holding my flag like I was gonna squeeze juice out of that bad boy, and I'm standing up screaming, dude. For it seemed like every play in the first half, I was on my feet yelling.
For 500 for like $600 less too.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you might as well call it a grand. I mean, some people had to park for 500. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Some people had to park for 500.
Ugh.
How disgusting.
Ugh.
Don't even want to think about what the tickets are for the next one. You got to be at least a G. Got to be a G. You did?
I looked the other night. It was at 800 for section 300 and like row 30 or something like that.
I'm sure.
I said to Kate, if something were to happen and the Packers beat the 49ers and the Lions win Sunday, I would seriously think about going to the NFC Championship. Because who knows if it'll ever happen again.
You gonna get a loan for that? I know I'm crazy.
No loan.
But I would rather play San Francisco.
Yeah.
Than Green Bay at home. Because I mean, I know that's terrible. It's like if you lose to San Fran in San Fran, you can swallow that pill. And you're like, okay. But if we lose to freaking Green Bay at home to go to the Super Bowl, good luck finding me ever again. I'm out of here, man. I'm gone, dude. I can't live with that. I just can't. I don't know if it'd only be worse if it was the Bears.
Right.
Right. You know? And I didn't
Yeah.
think there was any way Green Bay was going to beat Dallas in Dallas, but it's almost like that's the kryptonite for the NFL and Dallas is letting Green Bay go there. Maybe it's the only team Jerry Jones can find palatable enough to let lose at his house in the playoffs. I don't know. But it's insane because I thought there was no shot. Now, obviously, I thought Tampa had a good chance going into that week because Philly'd been playing so bad. And
Right.
we've seen enough Matt Patricia defenses to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great. But back to that, the Rams game. The other thing I was going to bring up, and I'm sure we were going to talk about anyway, was Stafford. I don't know why he had to be petty after the game. Like, dude, I don't know what you expect. I mean, you saw when he was asked if he was happy for the city in their first playoff game at Ford Field, and obviously he said happy for the players, happy for those guys.
Right.
So, like, I don't know what he expects from us. Like, we obviously cheered and loved him for 12 years. Well, most of us.
Right.
Appreciated what he did on the field, the franchise. But, at the end of the day, it's like, dude, you wanted to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say at the time I really blamed you, but you wanted to go.
Right.
And a lot of people cheered for you when you left.
Yeah.
Your boy was wearing a Rams shirt, for crying out loud. So how many people? We've talked about it multiple times this year. Detroit Lion Rams fans or whatever, which isn't a real thing. But it's like, dude, Goff is our guy. And that win was the final nail in that coffin for the fan base moving on, I think, in a lot of ways.
And for him too, I think.
For Stafford?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he was already moved on, in my opinion.
I think he was expecting like a hero's welcome. For him to come out and people were just going to give him a standing O. And it's like, dude, you got your standing O from Detroit when you went to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? That was your standing O. You're coming in here 32 years from separated from a playoff win. And you're expecting that the enemy, is going to get a hero's welcome. And I've seen people say, oh, that was classless. He did so much for your organization, your poverty organization in the 12 years. And it's like, I will say he did a lot off the field, and he did what he could on the field. But that was then. That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Like, it's not like he left this last off season and then comes back. You know what I mean? You're 3 years separated.
Yeah.
And, like a lot of people said, he'll get his love next year when they come to Ford Field. But this was different. This isn't a regular season game. This isn't a week 6 game. This is something that Dean has never seen. When you put it in perspective, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. It depends how he acts and what he does moving forward. I mean, it definitely made it feel like it was certainly a one-sided love affair, I guess, where it was all dependent on the fans here being supportive, especially, I mean, it's like, I know Kelly, Stafford's had her, whatever's over the years and whatnot, but it's like, it's about the court. It's about him.
Right.
It's about what he did. He took a lot of shots. He played his butt off when he was here, and that's what we appreciate. And then he wanted to be out, and that's fine, dude. You want to go. You gave us 12 years, dude. And he should, depending on how he acts, he should get some kind of flowers or whatever when he comes back, but not for the playoff game, not at home. And it was important. I was proud of the fans for booing him, and I was extra proud when they were chanting Jared Goff's name. I bet that had to have been amazing. Now, it was almost like, trying to make your ex-girlfriend jealous type of thing.
Right.
But whatever. It worked.
Yeah. Well, kind of. I mean, he still had a game.
Staff had a game.
Yeah, he did.
Dude, once he was doing them no lookers, I'm like, oh no, dude. And I was talking about that last week. I'm like, dude, once he gets
Yeah.
in his bag, he starts throwing these no lookers. I'm like, that's we're it could be a problem.
Yeah.
And we got within a point. So I mean, I'll just go real quick over the PFF things. Top on the offense, obviously, Amon-Ra, Jared Goff, Graham Glasgow, which was nice to see because he had been on the bottom for a couple weeks in a row. Josh Reynolds, of course, and Brock Wright. I don't know how many snaps Brock got, but he was up there. Bottom of the offense was Jason Kabinda, Craig Reynolds, then All-Pro Frank Ragnow, but I think he had a penalty or two. That usually drops him pretty hard. Laporta, then Jonah Jackson. Bottom of the defense, Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes. I would assume that's due to coverage. I mean, they were pretty rough in coverage in general. Obviously, the run defense wasn't terrible. And then after that was Romeo Aquaria, Kendall Vildor, and then CD Deuce. I expect a lot more out of CD Deuce. I know he's been out, but
Right.
You're in now, so we really need you to step it up. We got a couple games to go here, hopefully. Top of the defense, Jerm made it again. Jalen Reeves-Maben, Hutch, Melifonwu, Anzalone, and McNeil.
Yeah, I thought he killed Stafford.
It looked like it, didn't it?
I was like, man, he's done.
I think he certainly got concussed. It looked, and I think he was able to snap out of it.
Had to have, because
I think it was a quick one.
That didn't look good.
I know I've had one of those before.
That looked like Tyson Fury when he got knocked down against Wilder.
Yes, it's like that.
And
yeah.
All of a sudden, it was bam.
Boom. Okay, we're back.
Yeah. Crazy. So, my thoughts, essentially the same as you. Long time, like I said, long time coming. It was a great feeling to expand on the camera shot of the dude crying. Read a story about that actually, and his dad I believe he was an iron worker, and he helped build Ford Field, and he had passed away like 6 years beforehand. So they were like, in that moment, he was a season ticket holder and everything else that goes with it, and to be in the building that your father built, and
that's amazing.
His favorite team, first time in 32 years, is just the emotion of it. And he's like, it's more than just football. So, and
well, for a lot of people, like, the emotion is not just football,
right?
It's based in your life,
right? Yeah. One thing I did want to bring up, besides, like I said, the long time coming, was, again, like you said, Jay. It was really cool to see, for one, the crowd at Ford Field. I felt like the broadcast kind of toned down the noise, because obviously it was very loud, right? I felt like it is probably almost as loud, not almost as loud. We've been to game, do you remember were you there when we went to the Washington game? Was that you? Or was that Dean? It might have been Dean. But it was when Cousins had played for Washington, and the Lions stopped him, but Cousins was driving down the field, and you couldn't hear someone talk next to you. So I can only imagine what Sunday night was like, which brings me to, do you ever watch the clip of when the Lions played the Jets and and the refs had to tell the crowd to stop back in the Silverdome?
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that game.
Yeah.
Because I always thought after that, like, oh, the crowd could get like a penalty.
Right. I showed it to some people the other day. It always makes me laugh because they're like, you need to stop. The crowd needs to let the play happen, and then they got back up to the line and they just got louder.
Of course.
It was
Like, what is
awesome.
that? That's not a freaking rule.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
Now
I
it,
remember, yeah.
yeah, crazy. So, and yeah, so credit to everyone at Ford Field on Sunday. That was awesome. Can't wait to see what happens this Sunday. And the last thing I wanted to bring up was how Dan Campbell must have felt in that moment. Because at one, people were calling for his head, not us. You know, you know, almost half the fan base understands what a rebuild is, right?
Yeah.
But at 1-6, there were calls for him to be fired. And again, just like last week, credit to Sheila for sticking to her guns, sticking to the process. And now, here we are, one game away from the NFC Championship. And you're playing at home. Never, I mean, when he took over, we you kind of figured after the press conference and the draft and everything else, you're like, okay, they're going in the right direction, right? You can see this being a rebuild, 3-4 years, 4 year, you know what I mean? We might be able to get a playoff win, it'll probably be away, and
Mhm.
here we are, what, year three with Dan, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, year three. And here we are, a home game away from going to an NFC championship. Just got to beat a team that you've beat already. Crazy.
It's insane, dude.
Crazy.
I'm glad we didn't have this show then because, I remember talking at the time, though I liked everything he was saying
Mhm.
when he came in. And, you like to see somebody wanting to like form their own culture, not like what we had been through where we're trying to copy the Patriots culture or
Mhm.
stuff before that. I was worried that he was going to be like Rod Marinelli,
Mm.
good sound bite guy. Players really love to play for him. Position coach that hadn't gotten like a full-time head coach job before. I was like, I really hope this isn't that.
Right.
And yeah, obviously it wasn't. But
Right.
you know, special time right now.
Oh, and you talked about Josh Reynolds getting lost in the shuffle, and I never even heard about it afterwards. But what about Brad Holmes
Yeah.
and how?
See that clip of him in that elevator, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Love
And
it.
that's what you love about him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He truly cares, and I think we've, as an organization, not you and I, but we, we've found our GM, the one that's going to be here for quite a while. He's proven it. I mean, talent wise, drafting with his drafts and being in the culture, wearing the villain sweatshirt, screaming at the top of his lungs in an elevator after a playoff win. You want that. You don't see that in GMs. You just don't. I mean, you see happy GMs, but not like that. Not straight up man hugging Dan Campbell with so much force. You know? And I'd like to think that, you know, if we're being realistic, we're in a league where coaches don't really stick around. You know what I mean? And it's not because they leave; they get fired after a bad season or two. You know what? It's, you look at this season and Nick Sirianni. People asking if he's worried about the rumors of him getting fired. You know, I mean, you let Matt Patricia run a defense, you should have your job looked at. But It's just that's the type of league this is, and so you would hope that Brad Holmes has done enough that if that were ever the case, which obviously we hope not, that he would be the one to stick around and whatnot. So, but I mean, they're so intertwined together that you know what I mean. That I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
that Brad's gonna let him fail. So, and you love the approach that they take. So, anyways,
man. Yeah, it's obviously been one of those lucky, kind of fortunate um,
hmm
pairings. That's pretty rare. And, hopefully, it just continues to work.
right,
And as long as they don't, that's like with anybody it gets success. As long as you stay true to everything you've done, you're going to be good to go. But once you've made a bunch of good picks, you got fourth rounder All Pro and Amon-Ra St. Brown and stuff like that, and you start thinking too cutesy about what you're doing, that's when things start taking a turn. But
right,
as long as they stay true to themselves, I mean, the success will just should be there.
right.
See,
Real quick, your thoughts on Kelly Stafford saying Detroit fans booed her children?
whatever. Boo your kids, dude. I don't
I don't. I
I don't
think
hate your kids. I don't whatever. Who
they weren't.
cares?
No one was booing her kids. They might have
If
been
I was
booing
there, I'd
her.
boo her kids.
I did. I did. You see their jackets where it said like Detroit born, LA raised?
No.
Yeah, it had like the lion on the back. It said
You can't have it both ways in a playoff game.
right.
Like
Yeah.
it
Well,
just
the
doesn't
cat
work that way.
supposedly they said like her kids, their kids, not her kids, their kids said, "Who do we cheer for? Who do we
Right.
root
I
for?"
saw that. Which that's cool. I mean,
The
do you spend
Lions.
when it's not football season, are you spending your time in Detroit all year?
Right. Right.
Or are you in LA?
I mean, they're probably more there more often than Tom Gore is.
Oh, certainly. I wish Matt Stafford would buy the Pistons. I'd be super excited for that.
So, with that said, let's move on. The Lions. Oh, who they're playing? They play Tampa Bay, 3 p.m. on Sunday. Tampa Bay beat the Eagles 32-9, and looks like just looking here real quick. I caught some of the game. I didn't catch a lot of it. Baker was 22 of 36, 337 with 3 touchdowns. And that's pretty much the only really real stat. DeAndre had 10 carries, 34 yards for the Eagles. Jalen 205 of 35, 250 and a touchdown. So Tampa Bay.
DeAndre's Charmin butt can stay home. We're still in it, baby.
We're still in it.
I'll boo his kids too.
So with that
I don't
said,
need that.
what do you think the keys are to this Sunday?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of crazy because we have to admit that it's not the same team we played in week 6. I think
Right.
that's important for anybody out there. We won 20-6 in that first matchup. That's not going to be the case. They've been playing really well. Baker has been cooking a little bit. The thing is their run game is very average. Rashad White is a decent running back. He's not a great running back. That obviously is our strength, is our run defense. So they're going to be slinging it, and that's our obvious weakness.
Mm-hmm.
When they have 3 really legitimate options, obviously Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and then Kate Otten, who had a great game.
Right.
And with our linebackers having really poor pass coverage last week, we'll see what happens. I mean, your schemes change based on the team. Obviously, LA doesn't hit their tight end the way Baker was hitting Kate Otten. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, we got to get, like every week, The pressure's got to be there. Baker's going to be throwing it again at least 36 times, I would think, during this game. And that pressure's got to come there. If the front four aren't doing it, we got to bring that secondary pressure. Hey, Barnes and Campbell aren't getting it done on coverage, so blitz one of those guys. I mean, it just has to happen. If Baker is able to sit there and he gets a little confidence, he's going to start doing his, whatever he does. That's Johnny Manziel, I think.
Yeah.
But Baker will start doing some stuff. Baker Manziel is Baker Manziel. Baker Mayfield is Johnny Manziel if Johnny Manziel studied tape, right?
Right.
They're the same. It's that kind of dude. So once they start feeling that confidence, you just start rocking. And when he's got really good receivers like he does, that could be a real problem for us because Cam Sutton has been playing poor. Kendall Vildor, he came out of nowhere like 4 weeks ago, and he hasn't been playing amazing by any stretch. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, that pressure's got to be there. Got to keep Goff. I mean, those are standard things to say, but you go back to the last game. Goff was 22 of 22 when he didn't have any pressure. 0 for 5 when he did. I mean, now granted, that's pretty good, only having 5 passes that you weren't pressured. So I mean, if you can get away with that, that's ideal anyway. So I don't know. Looking back at Tampa, they've won 6 of their last 7. But it hasn't been crazy impressive. They beat the Panthers twice during that stretch, the Falcons, the Jags. They beat the Packers, actually, during that stretch, but lost to New Orleans by 2 touchdowns. So we should win. It's obviously possible to lose, but we should, the Lions should win unquestionably. I think the difference is going to be the big boys up front on offense and defense. They play a good game, especially defense, and especially offense. You play that strong game up front, both sides, and they have the guys to do it. There's no reason they shouldn't win in 27-17. They should, which is crazy because we win, we go to the NFC Championship.
Right.
And that's nuts on its own, but it's just straight up. They should beat Tampa. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that, honestly, except for people in Tampa. But I mean, because Tampa's good enough to beat them, obviously.
Right.
It's just they shouldn't.
Right. Oh, I completely agree. And everything you said, I agree with. I think it's going to come down.
I mean, how could you not?
I think, like you said, I think it's going to come down to the guys up front. And, obviously it always comes down to JG too, Now he's at home, he's inside, and he tends to play very well inside. So let's keep that train going.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
All right. Well,
what do you see? You think we're hanging more banners? I mean, Goff said after the NFC North Championship, right? We got more of these to hang.
Yeah, be like these guys.
Who are those?
Right. And them Natty Champ boys. So
I mean, I wish I had a hat like that. I really do. I just never will. And
I bought it straight for
that you
this
have
pod.
one.
I bought it straight for this pod. That's all. I'll never wear it.
Well, why wouldn't you buy it anyway?
That's true.
Just to have as at minimum a keepsake.
I wish I'd bought it at Walmart.
I bet you did. You're just ashamed. Look at you. Look at you.
I said it for last.
You nasty little Wolverine, you.
My little Walmart Wolverine heart. We're the champs.
Whatever.
So, from the NFC North champs to the
bring it on.
Most losses. Sorry, not most losers. Most losses in the NBA. The Detroit Pistons made news this week, trading Marvin Bagley III and Isaiah Livers and 2 future second-round draft picks to the Wizards for Gallinari and Mike Muscala. The deal unloads $12.5 million in Bagley's guaranteed money for 24 and 25. And the Wizards land second-round picks in 2025 and 2026 to take on the salary. So everyone's on expiring contracts. Initially, I was going, well, I guess they were 2 weeks ahead of me. They must have had this deal in the works with Mike Muscala and Gallinari.
And Danilo.
I have no idea what's going on. You're right. So,
yeah.
But, it's at first I was like, what are you doing? I mean, I guess Livers and Bagley, it was whatever. If you could get rid of them, you get rid of them. Now they're expiring contracts. I feel like they're kind of looking towards the future. It'll be interesting to see what they do with anybody else, Bogdanovich or Alec Burks or, Killian Hayes. Who knows what they're going to do? They're, again, 2 weeks ahead. They did win yesterday. I watched them win pretty convincingly, too.
It's a good one. They actually could have beat the Rockets the other night, too. I mean, they were right there on that.
Alec Burks was shooting lights out.
Last night?
Yeah, yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jalen Duren. Man.
You people will know what game we're talking about because it's the one they won.
Oh, yeah.
By the time you see this, they'll probably lost another one or two. It was the one they won before that against the Wizards.
They Jalen Duren is I like him a lot.
How do you
the thing is, I noticed with the Pistons is, I think you brought this up before, it's an old school Monty Williams type of team that he wants them to be. The problem is, like you said, it's not the way of the NBA anymore. So the only reason I feel like that they won, because I watched the game, was Washington wasn't hitting their threes and Detroit was hitting twos. Like there wasn't, besides Alec Burks, there wasn't a lot of 3-point shooting going on. Alec Burks was 6 of 9, I want to say 6 of 10, 6 of 9. A lot of going into Jalen Duren. I saw a lot of beef stew inside. That was nice to see. It's just they need shooters. They need guys who can hit threes, and I mean, this season's a lost cause anyway, so whatever. But
I mean, they win out, dude. They'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, I looked. They're like 27 games back from the first place right now.
Yeah, but it's still a long way to go.
Long way to go. I'm gonna look that up while you. What are your thoughts on the trade?
My thoughts on the trade, it's whatever. I mean, it's the stuff that Troy actually got me hooked on during this entire rebuild. It's the same kind of moves, money saving moves, grab expiring contracts, which is great. I mean, in general, unless you're doing it every single year,
right?
Which is kind of what we've been doing. You think about it. So we gave up Livers and Bagley and a couple second rounders. Both of those guys were Trader Troy trades from before. We got Livers with the 42nd pick in the 21 draft. We got that pick when we traded D Rose to the Knicks. And then we got Bagley in a trade for like a 4-team deal where we sent Josh Jackson and Trey Lyles expiring contracts, and a second rounder to the Kings for Bagley. So where's Trader Troy's deals got us?
Trader Troy.
We trade Bagley for Danilo and Muscala and Livers and whoever, but we're just trading these guys for those guys. Now Bagley, granted, that's kind of what happened. Like, we'll have a guy or two who has another year, then I'll trade it for an expiring contract, and then we just sign somebody else like, what's his face, Joe Harris in the offseason. He's like 19 mil for no reason at all, and he'll be gone after this year. The one thing that, if you dig a little deeper, that kind of bothers me is like we end up with guys. We trade for guys almost in like a nepotism type of way. Danilo Gallinari is a client of Michael Tellem, which is Arn Tellem's son. Arn Tellem's obviously our VP. He was a big agent for a long time. Arn also used to have Bojan as a client and a couple others that we ended up having on our roster in the last 3 or 4 years. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Bojan's fine or whatever. He ended up being an okay piece, but it just seems like we're moving guys around to like keep like those guys in business a little bit too. And then we're making the trades that don't actually do anything for us. It just kind of keeps us where we're at. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons win like 10 of their last 20 or something. And then they're like, oh, now we got the base to build off of. And we end up with an exact same off season that we just had.
Right.
And then we go through this situation again. I don't think if Tom Gore's 5-week plan is to fire Troy Weaver at some point, I mean, that would change something.
Yeah.
But I doubt it.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, the trade, it's fine. It's whatever. It doesn't really matter at all because those guys are gone. I don't know what free agent we're going to land with our extra money.
Yeah.
Why would they ever consider coming here right now?
I know. I was looking at right now the free agents for next year, and it's like, there's not really.
What? There's Clay.
Yep. Tobias Harris, James Harden.
That's what we'll do. We'll spend a ton of money on Clay in his last like 2 years that'll be any good at all, and we'll pay him for the next 7.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, see, we signed Clay.
Right.
Or, yeah, we'll sign Pascal Siakam to be our all-star for 8 years, $300 million. And he's not enough.
Right.
He's a good player. He's not enough. He's not the guy. He's not Giannis. He's not LeBron. You can't. But I see that something like that happening if we don't change.
Right. Yeah. Well, enough about that. Let's get into the
just enough about that.
Yeah, just enough about that.
Let's go to the other team that plays at Little Caesars.
Yeah, the Red Wings weekly update. So, Detroit, I lost my notes here. I believe since we recorded, they're what, 1-0-1.
I mean, I'd say winners of 6 of their last 8.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So they looked pretty good the other night. Patrick King got hurt when he got hurt in the 4-2 win over Toronto. Lalonde came out today, said it's not hip related. It's a lower body injury. He's going to be out for the next 2 games. That would be against Florida and Carolina. And then when they get back to Detroit, they're going to reevaluate it.
Got to give Lyon that start against Florida, right?
Well, yeah.
Got it.
Sure. Well, I believe they'd started Reimer because Lyon had faced like 80 shots in 2 games.
And Reimer we got from Toronto.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, you got to play him for that, right? I think that's probably why he had an okay game
Right.
for him. He was probably juiced up for that.
Yeah, he was so happy after that game.
Oh, I
So
bet that'd feel good.
so they play Florida and Carolina this week, and then they're home for 6 straight. So
This is the time.
if they can pull out these two, and then I believe their first home game's against Tampa. So they're sitting in the 4th spot in the division right now. And
Wait, the Red Wings?
Yeah.
I thought we were a point behind Toronto in 5th.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, 4th. 4th. Toronto's 3rd.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Tampa Bay they have 49 points as well, but they've played one more game. So yeah.
Big games, big stretch right there. Holy cow, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're playing well. I saw when King got hit, and the way where he got hit, I was like, oh no, is that his hip? I was like, oh no. And then he didn't come back, and I'm like, oh no.
That was it.
So, man,
very possible.
He's good, man. That goal he had the other night, not against Toronto, it was against.
But if he's out for the rest of the season, then I want nothing to do with him.
Well, yeah, I mean,
in my opinion, you're now just a Blackhawk still. Go.
Get
but if you finish the season and help us get to the playoffs, then all right, we're cool. Yeah, like it was somebody brought it up today, so it was like a Chelios thing to me, and I'm like, what was Justin with the, Great Lakes Gridiron guys?
Yeah,
and he was, I don't even know if he was alive, during the Chelly situation, because I'm like, well. He goes, it's just kind of crazy seeing him. I was like, yeah, I was like, I get it, but it's not as crazy as it was for me when Chelios came, because I hated Chris Chelios like a lot, and he hated Detroit. Like I hated, he was like, and that's saying something because I hated the Avalanche. That was such a huge rivalry, but I hated Chris Chelios probably more. Lemieux would have been right there, but I hated Chris Chelios probably more than anybody on the Avalanche. And then he came to Detroit, and then I was like, oh, now I love the guy.
right.
Like it was, I'm like, so Patrick Kane, like he just wasn't, just a controversial type of guy at all. He's just an incredible player on a team I don't like.
Right. Well, yeah, and when Chelios went to Detroit, it immediately became Claude Lemieux 1, Joe Sakic 2, Adam Foote 3, Patrick Roy 4,
Oh, dude. I almost puked. Saying all those names back to back is honestly disgusting.
Yeah.
It turns your gut a little.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You ever see that I don't know if you call it a documentary with him and with Lemieux and Darren McCarty?
With who?
Lemieux and Darren McCarty, and how they revisit that. It was an ESPN thing, I believe it was.
Oh, I think I did see that.
It's pretty good. I might have to watch it again. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Darren McCarty, you ever want to come on and talk Red Wings? That'd be great.
Because they kind of played Lemieux off as kind of almost like a victim, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
During that.
Yeah. And McCarty was pretty genuine and nice towards him too. So it was like, so, time heals all wounds.
Well, when you beat the crap out of the other guy, it's easy to be nice.
when you have a guy get called a turtle for the rest of his career and beyond.
Yeah, dude.
So
you can be nice after that.
So go Red Wings.
Go Wings.
Big stretch.
Big stretch.
All right. Well, let's get into the last segment for tonight. Thought we'd try something new, and without Dean, it's kind of hard to do trivia or whatnot.
Oh, wait, didn't you say you're going to pop your top off for this?
Yeah.
Come on, baby. Brussels sprouts. Hey, did you get a shout out?
Shout outs. Shout out. I might have to put this at the beginning. Shout out to our comment from
the comment.
Yep. We said it. You comment, you get a shout out. You share it, you get a shout out. So a couple people actually, Shirley Ann, for her comment with the Brussels sprouts. She is right, by the way. You put some bacon with that, oil, salt. Oh, dude, they're very good. I was with you. When Kate made Brussels sprouts the first time, I'm like, I don't want this. I have no desire to eat this. She's like, just try it. And I did. Man, she chars them up a little bit on the end. Oh, man. They're good. Good. So,
okay.
Shout out to her.
Take it easy.
They're good. Shout out to her. She's right. Anything with bacon's pretty good. Shout out to Taylor Hannah for sharing our posts. I saw that a couple times.
T. Hannah, the man.
Yep, congratulations on the nuptials.
On them nups.
On the nups. So a couple people there. And let's get into that last segment. We're just going to call it Random Question Generator. And
I think literally Bill is on a random question generator.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And we're just going to try and answer them.
And we're just going to answer them. So, this may end up being a little about the B and E or the BDE. Who knows? Might be funny. I have no idea. So I'm just going to put this in here and generate. Boop, 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 boop.
Wow. The tech on this show.
All right. These are not cool.
Scale of 1 to 10. How depressed are you right now?
Yeah. Are you seeking help? All right. I'm going to put one question and we've got to answer it. Okay. Here we go. What is socially acceptable today that you think won't be in 10 years?
Socially acceptable today that won't be in 10 years. Do you have one?
I'm trying to think.
I have one. I have one that I'm not going to bring up.
You Why not?
It's political.
It might shut down the pod.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's
Why not?
Yeah.
And we'll cut it.
Cut what?
We'll cut it. If it's too bad, we'll cut it.
It's not bad.
Well, then say it.
It's just it's political. I don't want to be divisive like that. That type of divisive.
Is that divisive?
Probably. Potentially.
I don't think. That's a good question.
In 10 years?
Yeah.
Socially, I don't know, dude. People are so weird.
I think people doing TikToks is not going to be socially acceptable in 10 years.
Really?
The dancing TikToks.
Not socially acceptable?
No. People are going to be like, dude, what are you doing? It's already starting now, really. Or it'll be some other form, different app or whatnot.
10 years.
Who do you think will be playing on Oldies radio in 30 years?
In 30, I mean, that's in 30 years. Let's
30.
see. So, who was 30 years ago from now? The 90s? Jeez.
Yeah.
Is there even oldie stations anymore?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here in Grand Rapids, 101.3 plays
What do they
60s,
play?
60s,
60s?
70s. Yeah.
Well, then I guess you'll obviously be hearing like Prince, Michael Jackson.
It's crazy to think about.
It is. I think those guys. Probably you get into the boy band era.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Think about that.
Nirvana.
Think about like oldies group singers as you go from the Four Tops to 98 Degrees. It's like
Dude, that's an increase of
that is
94.
straight.
Think about how hot that is.
I would say like Lady Gaga or
Yeah, there you go.
Beyonce. You know.
Mhm.
All right. Next one. If you were famous, what would your stage name be?
I don't know. What would yours be?
Build or Valderrama? I don't know.
Derelict.
Just one name. I don't know. I'd probably be like, Will I Ain't? I don't
Well,
know.
I ain't. Oh no. What are you? What is that curly haired dude? Weird Al?
Weird Will.
Weird Bill.
Oh, that's good.
My stage name. People always thought my name was a stage name.
Eddie?
Sleeper. Eddie Sleeper.
Oh,
Together.
it's a pretty good one.
Stage name. I don't know. Probably Mitch Shufflin.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Classic.
Okay. Would you rather live the rest of your life in total sunlight or total darkness?
The rest of my life?
Yes.
Sunlight.
Same. Let's get total darkness all the time.
Dude, that's depressing already.
Ugh.
That's terrible. Some people would definitely choose darkness, but I'm like, dude, that's not good. That's not good for you.
No, not at all. Let's see here. All right. If money didn't matter, what job would you have?
Two chicks at the same time, man. If money didn't matter, I feel like based on the job I do now, money must not matter. I don't make a lot of it. If money didn't matter, I don't know, a youth sports coach. If that's all I had to do,
That's fair.
I don't know.
I think it'd be this. To be honest with you.
Oh well, sure, yeah. No, this would be great too.
Yeah. So please subscribe. Please. For the love of God.
Make our dreams come true.
Don't you want to help us?
And then I can do the first one. Classic Office Space reference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you could be the best in the world at something, what would it be?
Probably golf.
Mm.
Because I could do that for a really long time at a very high clip.
Yeah, that's true.
And it would be awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
If I was automatically just going to be the best in the world, if regardless, then yeah, dude, that's it. If I didn't have to go out and do a million swing, I mean, still, if I was good enough to do that, I would obviously do that. But like having to do that 7 days a week, and I mean, that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of pressure on the body if you're having to do it.
right.
But if I was already the best, I could just show up on Thursday, play the weekend, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
I think I would go even lazier than that. I mean, obviously, I think it would be initially like being the best father, if you wanted to go like that route. But like the other route would be to be the best YouTube creator, best like online like video creator. Because, dude, these guys create like YouTube shorts and get paid tons of money. I have no idea.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you do whatever you want. So, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
All right. Last one. What song will you never forget the lyrics to? There's quite a few for me.
Man. One song, never the Star Spangled Banner.
That's a good one.
That's a good like one. Locked. Yeah, that's like
the second, like the first and second verse, or
all the yeah.
I was at a sporting event where they went into the second verse of the Star Spangled Banner. Oh no, it was the Filipino America. Christmas party. Oh. There's another verse of the Star Spangled Banner, just no one ever sings it.
And the land of the free, that's the end. Well, how do you go on after that?
The home of the last brave. Words are home of the brave.
Yeah, as a kid, I thought they were talking about the Atlanta Braves when I was like real little. Other than that, it's hard to say. Probably Hotel California. It's like my favorite song. Oh, I guess that.
Mine would be "Hit 'Em Up" by Tupac.
You know every word still?
I don't know every word. I would say for me, it would.
I could get through the first verse and chorus for sure. After that, it's sketchy.
Gangster's Paradise.
Oof.
I know every word of that. I Want It That Way by the
Got in trouble Boys. For that.
You did?
You did. For Gangster's Paradise. I
got in trouble for a lot of things. I had a Will Smith album. Oh,
yeah, God. Dude.
The audacity. my child ears.
Let Will Smith infiltrate your mind.
You will not get jiggy with it.
What about Miami? You'll never go there. It doesn't exist.
So, all right. I kind of like that. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we come up with next week. I don't know. So
there you go.
All right. Well, that will do it for this week's episode. Thank you to everyone for watching and or listening. If you're on Spotify or Google Podcasts, whatever the case may be. As always, remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment with any of your thoughts. Again, thanks to Shirley Ann for chiming in. And if you haven't already, again, hit that like and subscribe button. So it helps us and helps the channel. Big thank you if you have already. And we will be back next week with another explosive, I said riveting last week, explosive episode of the BD Sports Talk Podcast. Everyone, have a great rest of the week. Sports Star.